Today, I am to leave Marshall's cloak, and in order to preserve honesty with myself, I must make a confession. I am afraid. So very few have been the times when I ventured beyond these walls, and never on my own, that I indeed fear what awaits me beyond the iron gates. But I am a Knight Protector of the holy ground, and I will look to my oaths and our teachings to be the solidity beneath my feet. For fear left unchallenged is a rot in the roots. With the wild reports we are receiving from Tojeth, there can be no doubt that the Cancrazan's cartographers are at work once more, though none but us seem to acknowledge it. So the Moot has sent me to locate an elder Knight Rebuker with whom contact has been lost, as her knowledge and experience will be of great value. In search of her, I must traverse the Gel Wilds to a village called Yolu's Stand, her last known location. I know full well that I go not as some primely chosen hero, still so new to my forge. The knights grow desperate, and few. I am simply all that can be spared. And so, though ill-equipped and hastily prepared, I go, for I am needed. Fear left unchallenged is a rot in the roots. Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to From the Tabletop, the TTRPG broadcast from the League of Extraordinarily OK Gamers. I'm the Wraith, and I am here by myself today. This is the beginning of what will hopefully be something kind of cool and special. I'm going to be running a solo game in a system called Ironsworn, which is designed to be done solo and, in other configurations. But this will be taking place in the same world as our main campaign, the Dawn's Our Voyage holds, so I'm sort of keeping it under that umbrella, but this will be an original character in a slightly different setting in the city of Marshall's Cloak, which our main campaign hasn't gotten to yet. Maybe I'll get there eventually, we'll see. So let's jump right in. I'll try and be as helpful with explaining things with the rules as possible, but I don't want to get too kind of crunchy with anything, so I'm hoping this can be more of a sort of a narrative experience. But anyway, so I'm going to be doing most of this with pencil and paper here, so that's why I've got actual dice, and anything that will be helpful for you as the audience to see is up on my screen. I have here is some information, and over here as well. I will also probably be referencing this guy over here. This is our map of the continent of Geltanok. Currently, the little brown token right here in Tovoln is where our character is, and we'll be traveling from. So, to give a quick introduction, I will be playing a character called Rimolyrek, who is in a group called the Knights of the Holy Ground. He is a Barblish, a race called the Barblish, which is one of the races that we have in our world of Orlarden here. So they are creatures that are slightly larger than human size. They have 4 arms. Their legs are covered in fur like a bear. They have antlers, and the hair on their heads sort of trails back into a trunk that's also covered in hair, so it looks like a giant, ponytail or braid or something. So they're that's what they are. So I have my character sheet here that I can sort of see around this microphone. The other thing we're starting with character as Ironsworn is 3. I forget what they call these, traits or something. So I have 3 of these, which are honor-bound, companion kebbix, which is a sort of modified version of a horse, which is a creature from Alardan. I'll explain in a second. And path forge wielder, which is a modified version of, I think it's called Kinblade or something, which I have changed just a little bit to reflect this magical weapon called a forge that he has as a member of the Knights of the Holy Ground. So let's play some games here. Let's get right into it. So the first thing we do, I have all my stats here. Rimolyrek has 1 edge, 2 heart, 3 iron, 1 shadow, and 2 wits, which are the 5 stat types that we use in this game. And to start, we will be making a move called Swear an Iron Vow. Our vows aren't really iron in this setting. They're more like sort of earthen, with the concept of the holy ground. As the everything, this map here is a giant creature. Geltanok is a giant creature, and each of these little things, Tojeth, Tovoln, the others here around there, are also large, county-sized creatures, varying in size. But Tovoln is the creature where the city of Marshall's Cloak is on. Marshall's Cloak is a very, very large city, and covers basically the entirety of the back of Tovoln. So that's where we're starting from, and that's also a little bit where they get the concept of the holy ground, because they're pretty into these creatures and have a great deal of respect for them. We'll get into some of that later, probably, maybe, who knows. But anyway, so the first roll we're going to make here is to start our quest. So most of this system works around these vows. Remo has this background vow to deal with the threat of the Cancrescence cartographers, which I've set at the most difficult level, which is epic. I don't know if we'll ever actually deal with any of that, but that's just going to kind of be there in the background. So the one that we're going to start right now is, as referenced in the little intro thing I did, was that he has been tasked with locating this missing Knight Rebuker, whose name is Makaru Vigo. She is also a Barblish female, and that's who he is supposed to find. She is the sort of the other rank of sort of high level person within the Knights of the Holy Ground. So Rimolyrek is a Knight Protector. She is a Knight Rebuker, which is a different sort of class of rank or whatever. So the role we're going to make here, we're going to swear an iron vow. So when you swear upon iron to complete a quest, which again, we're not really going to be swearing on iron, we're going to be swearing on the ground probably, write your vow and give it the quest a rank, which we're giving it the rank of formidable. So there are 5 ranks: troublesome, dangerous, formidable, extreme, and epic. Those determine lots of things about how we finish them and how difficult they are, etc. So this is going to be a formidable quest. So in the middle, so not super easy, but not super difficult either. Then roll plus heart. If you make this vow to a person or community with whom you share a bond, add +1. So I do have the only bond that Remo has right now is with the Knights of the Holy Ground, which is the community he is sort of swearing this vow with or to. So I will take that +1. So the way we do these rolls is I roll a d6 for the... Make sure I'm saying these things right here. I'm giving you proper information. The action die and these 2 d10s are the challenge die. So I'm going to go ahead and make this first roll and see how it goes. So what happens is I rolled a 5 with my action die, which gets that +1, and plus heart, which is a 2, so 5 goes to 8 with all of those adds. And then I compare it to my 2 challenge die, which I rolled a 1 and a 2, which is kind of great. So that means I have a strong hit. So on a strong hit, you are emboldened, and it is clear what you must do next. Take +2 momentum. So here's my momentum tracker over here. I'm going to go up 1, 2. I'm at +4, which is lovely. Okay, so let's paint the scene here a little bit. So Rimolyrek is he is riding on this creature called a kebbix, which is this is like a little larger than a horse type creature. The body of a canine, the wings and the head of an owl, with like a big kind of feathery mane type of thing. The legs are covered in shiny scales, which are extremely hard, and it has 3 long, bushy tails. So that is a kebbix, and this particular kebbix's name is Terrace. And that's that and that and that and that. Okay, great. So Rimolyrek is riding on top of this large creature. Remo is he's big for a Barblish. He's he's a big beefy dude. He's very except for the armor he's wearing, I think he would probably blend in. Or he would not be remarkable, let's say, traveling out the gate as in the early morning here, and the sun is rising. He's heading out very early, and the sky in the east is lit up with a whole bunch of wild colors, and the kebbix with its scaly feet are sort of making a little bit of a clack as they slowly sort of walk down this large wide cobblestone path through this humongous gate made of iron. It has a bunch of reliefs and things carved into it, and he's shifting sort of uneasily. It's clear that he is not familiar with riding on one of these things, particularly not this one. His hair and his fur is black, and he's relatively plain looking. There's no sort of special ornamentation or anything on his antlers. His armor is more or less standard issue Knights of the Holy Ground armor, which is sort of plate-like, I guess, sort of in the half plate area, and he sort of sighs and tries to give this sort of awkward kind of pat to the neck of the kebbix he's riding on, and sort of mutters something half under his breath. But he's on his way. If you were looking very carefully, you could see some amount of uneasiness in his eyes, maybe even fear. But he knows the path that he has to take. There's a long road that travels out of Tovon. It's not very well kept. The Gel Wilds are very dangerous areas. And not many people live out there, especially coming from this enormous city that is Marshall's Cloak. It's something that he is very, very unused to. He's got his lower two hands, I think, are gripped on the reins of the kebbix probably a little bit too tightly. His upper arms are sort of trying to adjust his armor and a cloak to sort of keep out the morning chill. And let's make a roll to begin this journey that he's on. Let me grab these are over here. So this is our journey to Yolu's Stand. This is the village that he's supposed to find this night in. And we are going to call this also a formidable journey here. It's not... It's a ways away, even though he knows where he's going. He's starting off on a good foot. He spent the early morning trying to get all of his gear together and his things packed up, and he knows he has the things that he thought he might need, though he doesn't feel totally prepared in that regard. He feels like he has as much as he could think to bring, and as much as the other knights that he was able to talk to gave him advice to bring out in the wild and things like that. So let's make the first roll on our journey. Where is that one? Here we go. Undertake a journey. I'll eventually get better at finding all this stuff, but for now, you'll have to bear with me a little bit. All right, undertake a journey. When you travel across hazardous or unfamiliar lands, set the rank of your journey. So I'm going formidable, which means we'll get 1 progress per waypoint. And then for each segment of your journey, roll plus wits. If you're setting off from a community with which you share a bond, add +1 to your initial roll, which I do have that. And I also have on my kebbix trait, or I should figure out what these are called. I don't remember. It's fine. I'll think of it eventually. So yeah, I thought that was in here somewhere, but I guess it's not. Anyway, not the most important. But anyway, so he gets the first sort of ability from this trait is when you face danger plus edge. That's not that. Or when you undertake a journey, add +1. So we get +2 to this. His wits is 2, so we'll be making a good start here. Okay. Wow. Okay. So I rolled a 6 on my action dice, which gets +2 to 8. Oh no! Wait, this is great. +2 +2 to 8, +1 from the bond with the knights, leaving Marshall's Cloak, and +1 from the kebbix. So that puts me up to a total of 10, which is great because I rolled 2 10s on my challenge dice. And this is greater. Oh no, wait. The action score is never. Action score is greater. Oh, it has to be greater than both the challenge dice. Greater than 1. Okay, so I got a 10. Wait, is that really? It's not equal to or greater? Let me just check this in the rulebook just to be sure. I don't want to be making action roll. Turn the outcome and compare the action score to each. You want it to be greater than the individual value. So a tie does not count. All right, so I rolled an impossible challenge dice here is what happened, which is incredible. Okay, so undertake a journey. So on a miss, you are waylaid by a perilous event. Pay the price. And since I rolled 2 10s, that's a match, which means the match represents a heightened negative outcome, a complication, or a new danger. So let me look. Pay the price. Make most obvious negative outcome. Let's roll on this. This is how this game works with these what they call oracles, that help introduce a random, basically acting in place of a DM or a GM. So, yeah, let's do that. Remembering this is going to be heightened because I rolled a match here. So let's see what we're getting here. So that's a 46. So it's a new danger or foe is revealed, is what that is giving me. So, I think this is great. So let me look at what potential things we've got going here. Yeah, so let's do this. So I think what happens is his first day on this journey, he's expecting this to take a little while, but the first day goes rather uneventfully as he's getting away from Marshall's Cloak and from TDOVH. I think the first steps he takes before he leaves the actual ground of TDOVH, he stops the kebbix. He stops Terrace. Sort of gives like an awkward kind of halting motion. The kebbix probably sort of makes a sort of a weird noise in protest, and doesn't like the weird way he yanked on the reins. And then he somewhat awkwardly sort of gets off of the animal. And he kneels down just before the transition from what is TDOVH to what is Geltanok, to the Gelwilds, the continent. And he kneels down, and he takes off his glove of his lower right hand and puts it down on the ground. And he bows his head toward the ground, and kind of mumbles under his breath. He says, "TDOVH, thank you. For these many years you have sheltered me. I ask now that you would give me strength as I travel from you. And he looks up just across the line in front of him to the ground that is Geltanok, and he sighs and he stands up, and he looks toward Geltanok and says, Geltanok, I ask your blessing to traverse your lands. I am a stranger to you, but perhaps you could give me fortune. And then he puts his glove back on, and he awkwardly climbs back up onto the kebbix, and gives Terrace a little kick, and Terrace doesn't move, and gives a little bit of a harder kick, and sort of tries to, get him going, and eventually in his own time, Terrace ends up moving, gives a little sort of squawk, kind of flaps his wings a little bit, and they start walking. So the paths out from Marshall's Cloak are not well traveled, but there are people on them. Especially in this early morning, there's people out doing running supplies in from farms outside of the city, things like that. But he travels on, and he continues most of the day on this more major-ish road, and by that it's at least a beaten path through the wilderness. He hears lots of strange noises that he's not used to, and I think he's equally unnerved and also sort of partially calmed by, I think, the quiet, really. Having lived basically his entire life, and he's sort of middle-aged-ish, I'd say, inside of this enormous urban center. He's used to noise being everywhere, but out here it's a lot quieter. There are bird calls out in the morning, and noises from all sorts of animals that he's not used to here and there, and the sound of the wind through the trees, and of running water nearby. It takes him a bit to get used to it, but I think he through the course of the day sort of settles into it, and finds an amount of peace. He's drawing strength from the land around him, and that night, as he's traveled the whole day, he's very tired because he's not used to doing this travel. He stopped a couple ways. He's eating hardtack rations that he's got packed and things, and he settles into camp, and takes a while, because he has no idea what he's doing. I think he definitely gets what he reads as sort of like mocking looks from the kebbix at a couple points. He tries to set up his little camp and find a spot, and he takes a long time trying to figure out how to start a fire, and then eventually I think he gives up on it. But it's very late into the night, and he's trying to get ready to sort of lay down for a sleep. He goes over over to Terrace, the kebbix, and and has some food that was suitable for the kebbix that he brought along, which is, let's see, what would that be? I mean, owls eat. I don't know if are they carnivorous? Probably, right? I know they eat like mice and rabbits and stuff like that, but so yeah, I think this is probably some sort of small animal that he had tied onto his pack that he tosses to the kebbix, and so Terrace is sitting there sort of clawing at it and trying to gnaw this little animal, and sits down and is messing with that. It's very dog-like, I think, in a lot of ways, the way that he moves and things, but the Remo goes to when he's about ready finally to get some amount of sleep. He lays down and he's taken some of his armor off because he's gotten real he's gotten road sweaty, he's gotten dirty, and so he's there trying to sort of brush some of the dust off of himself, and he settles in to do his sort of ritual prayers of the night. He gets down, kneels, and then lays down on his face with his forehead to a bare patch of ground, and he just sits there for a little while, kind of gathering his thoughts about the difficulties of the day. His legs and his backside are definitely bothering him because he is not used to spending an entire day in a saddle, and as he's doing that, he's finally about to start, saying some kind of prayer or blessing, and he notices that he doesn't hear the sort of Terrace eating anymore, and he gets up from his kneel, and there's a blade at his throat. And he looks up, and there are a number of Cortanjul that have surrounded his camp. Cortanjul are creatures that are basically centaurs, except instead of horse lower bodies, they have like basically like velociraptor lower bodies. So they do have two little kind of dangly arms in the front. And he looks up at the couple of them, and he sees that they've got these they're very wild looking, and he knows enough about what's out here in the wild to recognize them as what are referred to as Gelwalkers. This is sort of loose group of tribes of Cortanjul that roam out in the Gel wilds and are mostly considered savage. They hate. They're well known for hating people that live on the Toberon, so like Tojeth, Tovon, and yeah, so he's trying to his mind is sort of racing, trying to remember what he knows about these things, about the Gelwalkers, but he notices that they have on their chests, a lot of them have sort of they're bare chested or down on the front part of their lizard bodies have these big white painted symbols that look sort of vaguely like suns, in that they have like a circle, and then like I guess what would that be, 8 little lines coming out from them, which is something that he doesn't doesn't necessarily recognize as being a Gelwalker thing. But this one that has a sort of long, sort of halberd like blade, that's sort of like tipping his neck up, and he's sort of like looking around. There's a couple that are a couple more that have blades drawn on the kebbix, and that are trying to be wary around it, because it's a big creature that's about the same size as them. The Cortangel, that is. There are others that are there's no one that's sort of like rummaging through his pack. So is there a yeah. So I'm gonna decrease my this mouse supply by 1, because I think they've been going through his stuff and sort of pulling out some of his rations. And actually I'm gonna take it down 2, because this is I'm probably screwing myself over here, but this is the worst version of it. And since I rolled that double, he so that's the sort of the scene that he sees himself there. So there's the one on him that he can see. There's one looking through his stuff. There's another 2 on the kebbix. So there's 4 of them that he can see here. And the one that's looking at him, that has the blade to his throat, sort of takes a while, and it's just sort of like cocking its head at him a little bit. He's got this real long hair. They're sort of a little more tan skin, and has a very dark gray lizard body on him. And he spends a few moments sort of sizing him up, and seeing if he's going to make a move. But eventually this Cortangel speaks to him, and says, "You are soft, tall walker, yes. Far away from home are you?" And Remo is trying to sort of figure out what to do, and just as he's trying to do that, Terrace kind of makes a move, and this is part of, I think, what I'll do for this, because when I'm supposed to, it says if you roll a 1 on... Oh, that's not a 1 on your action die. But I involved my Terrace in the move I was making that I failed on, and I got that double thing. So, so Terrace kind of he kind of tries to jolt and scares and bolts at one of the Cortangel, and kind of scares him a little bit, but the other one that's on him sort of reacts without thinking a little bit, and digs a blade, this kind of big halberd thing, right into the flank above the hard scale of Terrace. And so I'm going to make the companion endure harm move. When your companion faces physical damage, they suffer minus health equal to the amount of harm inflicted. If your companion's health is 0, exchange your life for then roll plus heart or your companion's health. I have to figure out what my companion's health is here. That's assets. These are called assets. Asset types companion. Why is this small? Give them name, vision, their appearance. Oh, that has the health at the bottom there. Okay. Oh, I guess I gotta find this original sheet then, don't I? Please hold while I dig up some files. I was totally prepared. Assets. Okay, fine. Horse. Oh, okay, so a horse has... I should put a new one of these on here, but for now, I'm just going to... Actually, I'll put it on here. I'll put it on the back. So, Terrace has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 0 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. Okay, so I need to set... No, that's not it. There it is. I need to set difficulty for these enemies so I know how much harm they're doing. Foes and encounters. Okay, so I can make... there's a thing talking about... I think that just increases the... So this is... Shoot, where is that? There's something about groups of foes here. I remember seeing that. Where was it? No wait, that's unusually powered for less power. Also just a rank significant armor advantage. Alright, I'll have to find this later, but so I'm gonna say that these are basically the group of them is going to be classified as a formidable we'll put them all together in a group. So this is our group of our Gellwalkers here. Formidable, which means they inflict 3 harm. Yikes. Horsey. 1, 2, 3. So horse is down to 5. Not horse. Kebbix. Terrace is down to 2 health. Then roll plus heart or your companion's health, whichever is higher. My heart is 2 and the health is 3, so that's the same. All right, let's see how we go here. All right, that's a 2 and a 9, and I get a 5, 6, 7. So that is a weak hit. On a weak hit, your companion is battered. If their health is 0, they cannot assist you again until they gain at least 1 health. Yikes. Okay. All right. So that was a solid, just like right into the flank, like I said, right above the scales where they would be really hard to hit, and get damage on. And seeing that, Remo uses that opportunity to go right into action. So he, one thing that he knows how to do, he's not trained. He's not equipped well to be out here in the wilds. But one thing he does know how to do is he knows how to lay the smackdown on some people. So he doesn't have his armor on, or not all of it anyway. But the thing he needs to get to is his forge. So what he uses the sort of the slight distraction of that, because the Terrace gives up a pretty gut-wrenching sort of yelp as he gets that stab, and the Gelwalker that has the halberd on Remo, just looks up for just that half second, and Remo moves into action. One of his arms sort of bats away the halberd, and he sort of dives and rolls to get to his forge, or in this form, it's what we refer to as a hook. And this hook is basically just a hilt. In Remo's case, this hilt is pretty large. It's basically, you have like a hand and a half sword. This is like a 2.5 hand sword. So it's a pretty sizable, to account for the fact that he's got four limbs that he can use at any given time. He has it's fairly large. It's this this simple but very well cared for hilt, and he sort of rolls as he's trying to grab this. He snags it, and then as his one of his other arms is trying to grab his shield, he just sort of looks like he just kind of sticks it into a point in the air, and it just sort of stops, and he uses that to sort of swing around a little bit, and grab onto his shield that's also there with the rest of his armor, and slings that. It's this big kind of kite shield style thing that he slides both of his left arms into, and he sort of swings around on the momentum of this hilt that is somehow stuck in the middle of the air, and from his perspective, he has this brief flash of the entire world around him turning into this absolute hellscape, really, that is completely on fire, and just totally ravaged and destroyed and whatever, and he hears this sound in for that brief split second that his mind or his eyes see this flash of this place, and this sound is this it's this sound that's it's somewhere between this heavy striking of a really big hammer onto an anvil or some metal block, somewhere between that and the collapsing of a small star. It's this just intense physical sort of gong noise, and as his awareness kind of snaps back into reality, it's clear that the Cortandro around him hear an echo of that noise, and with that he pulls, as he's swinging around, sort of pulls this hilt back out of the spot it was sort of anchored into the air, and from that comes this huge blade of fire, basically, of compressed fire that this flames are sort of licking off of it. They move too slowly. It's really unsettling to look at, and And Remo, knowing himself, can tell that the fire, the color of this forge has this little bit of colors to it, as he himself is feeling this intense fear and anger at the striking of his kebbix, and so there's those just little tinges in the color of the sword of these reds, and I think blacks for the fear, but he's kind of in the zone right now. So we're doing a move that is called Enter the Fray. Oh man, I'm gonna get these so disorganized by the end of this. When you enter combat, set the rank of each of your foes. Then roll to determine who is in control. So like I said, I'm setting the group of these, the four of these as formidable. And one of my forge wielder asset here, as he has pulled this thing out, when you enter the fray or draw the circle by igniting your forge, take one, add +1 and take 1 momentum on a hit. So I get +1 to this. So enter the fray. So I've got my formidable foe, which means I get 1 progress per harm, and they inflict 3 harm. Roll to control. Determine who is in control. If you are facing off against your foe, roll +heart. I'm definitely ambushed as one of these options. So that is +wits. And I get that +1. So wits is 2. So let's see how we do here. All right. Well, I rolled a 1. But I get the 2 and the 1, so that ends up being a 4. But what's nice is that I rolled a 1 and a 2. So that means I get a strong hit, which means take +2 momentum. You have initiative. So I get +2, so I go up to +6. Did I do that right? Let me just check and remember. I'm doing this. Cancel, which are less than momentum value. Okay, right. So we'll see if I need that. I've got that going for me at least. And I have the advantage. So with that, I am going to strike. When you have initiative, an attack in close quarters, roll +iron. So he does this frankly pretty sick spin move as he grabs his forge, swings around, grabs a shield, whips it out, and then immediately, because this has clearly caught these Cortangel off guard, immediately just goes to bring this forge down right on the he's got a his two right hands on the hilt of this blade, and is just coming down on the one that had the blade to his neck. So we are going to roll +iron, which is 3. So hopefully it's good. Good enough. I rolled a 1, so that goes up to a 4. And the challenge dice are a 4 and a 2. So I beat I beat one of those. But I'm going to use this opportunity to burn my momentum. So burning momentum means you may cancel any challenge dice which are less than your momentum value. After you burn momentum, you must reset. So I have a 4 total, and my challenge dice are a 4 and a 2. So that would give me a weak hit. But I'm going to burn my momentum, which resets it back down to 2. As you can see, my max is 10. My reset is 2 right now. There are other things that affect that. But so that will cancel this 4, which I'm currently tying, which pushes me over into a full success. So on a strong hit, inflict +1 harm, you retain initiative. So... Puzzle. Here's my challenge. So, my standard harm is 2, because I'm wielding a deadly weapon. So I get 3 harm, and this is formidable, which means I get 1 progress per harm. So I get to mark off a total of 3 boxes here, out of 10. And I retain initiative. So as soon as that happens, the Gelwalkers sort of move into action. And these things are, so for being these sort of pretty big lizard centaur things, so they're taller and bigger than Remo would be. They are surprisingly quick, and they all sort of move into this flurry of action, and this is, just to really sort of paint this. This is in this sort of small clearing in the sort of off the trail in this forest here, and it's late at night. It's very fairly dark. Like I said, he didn't get that fire going, and the trees here are really thick, and really it's just very wild and dangerous feeling out here. But on this planet, there's what we modern people would know as a ring around the planet, like Saturn. So that's sort of overhead up in the sky. There's the moon is this big sort of purple kind of gassy type planet, and so that's up in the sky as well. So the light is coming from the light reflected off of the rings, and this big purple moon down into this clearing, and it just, like I said, just turns into this flurry of action, and everyone's going every which way. But he's made this one strike, just buried this blade, this flaming blade into like the spine of this one, and they sort of crumble a little bit, and he immediately sort of moves his for being this sort of big Barblish, his footwork is very, it's like a he's like a mountain moving. His footsteps are very sure, these big sort of like bear paw feet, and he spins around, throws off the attack of one of the other ones as they come in with his shield, blocks that off, and goes to strike at the next one that's running in. So we will strike again. Okay, oops, that was an 8. So 4, and this is with iron, right? What am I looking at here? Iron, yeah. So 4, 5, 6, 7 is my action die, and I rolled a 3 and an 8, so that is on the challenge die. So that is a weak hit. So I get to inflict my harm and lose initiative. So my harm is 2. So I'm up to 5. on the challenge thing, and we'll get to how that sort of resolves mechanically when we get there. But for now, I have lost initiative. So he throws the one off with a shield and then just gives it both arm, just like stab right into the front of this next one that's sort of running in on him, who was the one that was back with the supplies. As the fourth one is kind of over there, and sort of wrenching the blade out of Terrace, who is kind of partially collapsed a little bit at this point, but that's this one, right? So at this point, he runs his blade like straight into the one that's charging right at him, and this one it just let out this scream, battle cry kind of thing, and with the sword sort of in them, basically charges straight through at him, and they go sort of tumbling to the ground, and he and he gets sort of knocked back to the ground, and he sort of tries to roll to get back up, and the two other ones kind of come in and they start to circle, and they're sort of trying to get pokes in at him, and they're kind of going at it. So this is going to be then a clash as they're rushing in at him. This is when your foe has initiative and you fight with them in close quarters, roll plus iron. So basically the way this works is because I don't have initiative now, this is a sort of more dangerous move, is basically how this works, which is a really cool way they've set this up. So here we go, plus iron, clash. Woo! 5 plus iron, 6, 7, 8 on my action, and it's 2 7s on my challenge dice here. So that's a match, so that's going to be something fun. But this is a strong hit. On a strong hit, you inflict your harm and choose one. You have the initiative. I can bolster my position, which is take +1 momentum, or I can find an opening, which is inflicting +1 harm. What do I want to do? Here's my sheet. So I get 2 harm. I am going to take +1 momentum, I think. No, you know what? I'm gonna take the extra harm. So that's a total of 8 harm on that, and I have the initiative. Yeah, so I'm going to attempt to end the fight here. So when you make a move to take decisive action and score a strong hit, which is what I just did, I did the clash and I scored a strong hit on it, you may resolve the outcome of this fight. If you do, roll the challenge dice and compare to your progress. Momentum is ignored on this roll. So the way this works is, instead of rolling my action die, I have my 2 challenge dice, and I roll them and compare it against the progress that I've gained on my progress track for this fight, which so far I've got 8 out of the 10. So it's as if I rolled an 8 on my action die, and then I roll my challenge dice and see what happens. Fun. Okay, I rolled a 6 and a 0. And I want to remember that I rolled that match on the one before on the clash, so I'll bring that into the narrative here. So this is a weak hit. So 1 weak hit as above, which means this foe is no longer in the fight. They are killed, out of the action, flee, or surrender as appropriate to the situation and your intent. On a weak hit as above, but you must also choose one. It's worse than you thought. Endure harm, or overcome. Endure stress. New danger. Collateral damage. An objective falls. Others won't forget. I am going to... I think I'm going to endure stress. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do, because that sounds fun. So they are killed. I got them. So, just to recap, the one sort of got a good cleave on that first one. The second one sort of topples him over as it charges in and gets a stab into the other two. So from there, he's just moving. He's in his element here. You know, like I said, for all the uncertainty and the fear that he has of being outside, in the wilds and everything, this fighting is a thing that he knows how to do. And so his movements are practiced and almost automatic, but as the one jumps in, he sort of like takes a step back and takes a long slash across the flank, and you can see it chars with the flame that goes in there, and that one sort of falls. And the other one from the side sort of comes in, and he parries their attack with his shield, and then comes around and just takes a hack with this thing straight through the torso of this, and it's just like it's a, you know, this blade is made of this fire, right? And so just burns like straight through the torso of this thing, and he's sort of standing there, and he's breathing heavily. He's got his sword in his right two arms and his shield in his left two, and he has a moment where he just gets hit with this kind of panic, right? He's out in the middle of the wilds, and he, you know, after you sort of come out of that sort of almost automation of a fight, of that thing that he knows how to do, and the sort of reality dawns back on him. He looks over, and Terrace is on the ground, sort of nursing his front left leg, or shoulder, really, and he realizes that he's not sure that he knows what to do, right? And so we are going to do the endure stress move. When you face mental shock or despair, suffer minus spirit equal to your foe's rank. So that is 3, yeah. So three harm. So I'm pulling my spirit down. 1, 2, 3. Solid mental shock. Or as per read of the situation, if your spirit is 0, that's not me, then roll plus spirit or plus heart, whichever is higher. My heart is 2, and my spirit is 2, so I'm rolling a plus 2. Let's see what happens here. My challenge is a 1 and a 7, and I roll a 6 plus 2 heart, which goes to 8, so that is a strong hit. Choose one, shake it off. If your spirit is greater than 0, Suffer 1 momentum in exchange for 1 spirit, or embrace the darkness, take +1 momentum. Well, so my momentum is at +2. Right now, I like this shaking it off. He's early, so I'll take that -1 to momentum, and I get +1 to go back up to spirit. So he sort of takes that moment and sort of regathers himself. Sort of, I think for a night he feels like he's sort of reconnecting himself to the ground. Right, he sort of feels his feet through his boots, sort of in the dirt here, and finds some solace in that. And he's immediately going to go over to Terrace to see if he can help at all. And so he's going to try to heal Terrace. When you treat an injury or ailment, roll plus wits. If you're mending your own, it's not me. Okay, so it's plus wits, which is a 2. Here we go. 5, 6, 7 on my action, and my challenge is a 1 and a 10. So that is a weak hit. So as above. So your care is helpful. If you or the ally under your care have the wounded condition, you may clear it. Then take or give up to +2 health. So I can give that to Terrace, so he will go back up to 4 out of 5, which is wonderful. So then the weak hit, but you must suffer -1 supply or -1 momentum. I'm going to say that this is -1 momentum, because it's way, like I said, it's way late in the night. He has to spend a long time trying to mend this. I think he knows his way around, being someone who knows how to fight, being someone who he knows how to tend wounds and that thing. I don't think he's super familiar with tending the wounds of an animal, necessarily. So I think that just takes longer, and so it's so late at night, and he's basically just about to collapse here, and it just takes a long time, and he is exhausted, and he tends to the wound and tries to sort of wrap it as best he can. Has a few kind of healing things in his gear, and sort of poultices it up the wound and everything, and tries to dress it as best he can. And then I think he just collapses and falls to sleep, with all these bodies around him. And he sort of releases the blade of the forge. It sort of like puffs into smoke, and it goes out, and he puts it back. He sets it down and tends to the wounds, and then goes over and tries to gather all his stuff. I think he puts all his armor back on, and keeps his forge and his shield close by. I think he sort of uses his shield as a pillow, and just sort of trudges over to this spot in like the crook of a big tree, and falls asleep. And there's sounds out in the woods. These bodies laying on the ground. Terrace sort of goes back to weekly, sort of picking at the little animal that he was eating, and eventually sort of limps over to where Remo is. It's already sleeping in among the roots of this tree, and Terrace limps over and curls up right nearby him, and falls asleep himself. And I think that's where I will leave it for tonight. This was cool. So I hope you enjoyed this session. I'm really curious to see where this goes. I think this is a really fun system. Sorry, I'm a little scattered right now, but I hope I'll get my bearings a little bit and things can move a little bit quicker. But thanks so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Okay, bye.